Hello everyone, my name is Rahul Namboori and I'm the co-founder and managing editor for FactCrescendo. FactCrescendo is an independent fact-checking organization headquartered in India, and currently we are catering to the APAC region with active teams in Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, Cambodia and Myanmar. Every day, our team publishes fact checks in 14 languages across 6 countries. So this year, we started our operations in Afghanistan and Cambodia and are happy that we are actively contributing to counter misinformation with on-ground teams in troubled regions like Afghanistan and Myanmar. I'll be taking you through a synopsis of data analysis done by us, of our work done in India for the first half yearly, that is between January to June 2021, and our findings based on the data analyzed from fact checks produced by us during this period. So during this period, some of the major trends that kept the social media platforms busy were related to the ongoing pandemic, state elections, farmers' protests, also some international events which were circulated, adding some local flavor to them. These were the events like Israel-Palestine conflict, French teacher beheading, and current AFG, that's Afghanistan Taliban situation. They were also seen trending in India. So we have produced 1,750 fact checks during the first 6 months of 2021 in Indian languages. And all our data analysis was done based on this number, that is 1,750 fact checks. Our findings were in sync with various other international academic research results, where it was clear that most of the misinformation gets circulated in form of images. Our findings were that out of 1,750 fact checks, 54% fact checks were done for content where the misinfo was circulated in form of images, followed by 29% video fact checks, and 17% fact checks were done for articles. Out of these 1,750 articles, 59% fact checks were political in nature and 20% fact checks were done for pandemic related misinfo. However, we also saw a lot of overlapping categories such as political posts that were also related to COVID misinfo, or political posts that were related to religious misinfo. 16% of the fact checks that we did were related to targeting of various religious groups, and 20% were related to targeting of various social groups. Now, when we say social groups, we are speaking about mainly the caste or immigrants, which are, for example, Rohingyas, illegal immigrants who are from Bangladesh, Pakistan, or any other country in India. So out of the 59% political fact checks that we have done, which is 1,038 political fact checks, what we once we analyzed them, our findings were further classified, and we saw that 9% of the fact checks were produced for the misinfo, which was exaggerating the achievements of central government or state governments. So this could be something, state governments or central governments talking about something, or the leaders talking about some work they have done, achievements and all. However, 91% were the post sharing misinformation about various political parties and political leaders. These were in form of altered videos, photos, misattributed quotes, rumors, which were spread against political parties and political leaders. So out of these 1,750 fact checks, 16% were done with regards to misinformation targeting various religious groups. Now, our data has revealed that the maximum misinfo, that is 50%, were posts targeting one specific minority religion in India, followed by 30% of the content targeting the majority religion in India. However, significant fact checks were done for religions which were targeted based on specific international and national events. So something happens in Israel, or some a bomb blast somewhere. We do see the impact of those events in India too, and most of the time these events get religion-based claims. So our reach during the pandemic times has grown many-fold. This is as per the report published on Pointer Institute's website in the last year June, where it was clear that FactCrescendo had the second most jump in terms of page views and the number of fact checks produced. We had 940% increase in our website page views and visitors on our websites, and we have produced 446% more fact checks during the peak COVID times. Talking about the COVID misinfo, our data research results, the findings were that 14.6% of the misinfo was towards the home remedies and cures, followed by restrictions by state and central government during peak pandemic times. Origin, controversy, natures which were related to virus were equally in nature. And with the vaccine programs, there were misinfo about vaccines and their efficacy, followed by various data reports on fatality and facilities related to COVID management by government and other institutes. I would also take this opportunity to speak a bit around our experience in Afghanistan, because currently the situation that we all are witnessing in Afghanistan, followed by Myanmar and Cambodia. So about Afghanistan, we started our operations in Afghanistan in the month of February, and we've been producing fact checks regularly in Pashto, Dari and English. The month of August saw the situations in Afghanistan changing rapidly, and Taliban taking charge of the country. During this period, misinfo related to the foreign intervention, Pakistan, former President Ashraf Ghani, and the resistance forces led by Ahmad Masood, son of legendary Ahmad Shah Masood, and Amrullah Shaleh in Pansir, were on peak. However, we've been facing challenges to manage the team on ground in Afghanistan, with the constant challenge of protecting the identity of our fact checkers to ensure that they are safe and able to continue their work without any impediments. Another country that I would like to bring is Myanmar. The country in February faced a coup, and our teams still have been constantly reporting internet misinfo from Myanmar, though we've been active in Myanmar from last year. But this year, it was challenging for us too. Most of our fact checks in Myanmar are done in Burmese and English. And since February 21, because of the coup, there were frequent long internet blockages and other restrictions which were placed. This was the main challenge for us to produce our work there. However, we have managed to keep the workflow constant, and at present our team on ground is producing fact checks. However, another challenge that we face in Myanmar is that access to various social media platforms is impossible without using secured VPNs. And also verification of claims where authorities' comment is concerned, and risk of biases and propaganda from sources, it is one of the main challenges that we face, because this could lead a fact-checking company into a difficult situation. In 2021, another country that we started our operations was Cambodia. We have produced over 172 fact checks in the first 6 months, and most of the fact checks that we did in Cambodia were related to social causes, and ongoing pandemic. Also, many of the claims related to pandemic are unanswered due to the matter of sensitivity and lack of experts. Also, unlike journalists, we think fact checkers too may be targeted, and so safety for our team in Cambodia is also the prime focus area for us. So overall, if we would say in a nutshell, we can conclude that images dominate the misinfo space. Political misinfo sees a surge during elections, followed by communal and social misinfo. Social media is seeing an uprise in hate speech, prejudices, and disinformation, false information, which is invented, which is created. Most religious misinfo was targeting minorities in India, which were especially Muslims. Also, many international events like Sweden riots, Israel-Palestine conflict, teacher beheading in France, they have accelerated the Islamophobic misinfo in this part of the world. Also, we've been actively participating in academic research programs, and we have been creating social awareness campaigns around COVID-19. Currently, we have started experimenting with a new format, which is in English and Hindi. These are the two main languages in India that we do. And here we are producing our work in three mediums. One is articles that we write, second is the image cards, and third is video formats. We're doing this because we feel images and videos have far deeper reach. Also, video formats work good with people who are illiterate and does not know how to read and write. I could say our forte has been, that we have been able to stand our ground in troubled regions like Afghanistan and Myanmar, despite the difficult situations and circumstances. So this has only got us more strength, and we feel we are up for more challenge, and we would certainly be exploring more opportunities and start our fact-checking work in other countries. But we mainly would be focusing on countries in the Southeast Asian region. So this is what had kept us busy at FactCrescendo, and we would love to hear your feedbacks, your suggestions, anything you guys wanted to add. Anything that could help us do even more better than what we're doing. So here are our coordinates. Please write to us. Please stay safe. Thank you very much.
So hello everyone from my Global Fact 6 virtual background. My name is Celine Samson. You can also call me Chin, and I'm from VERA Files, a nonprofit media organization in the Philippines that does in-depth reporting and fact-checking. So at VERA Files, I head our social media verification team, and I give fact-checking trainings to students, journalists, teachers, and civil society organizations. So to give you a bit of a background, VERA Files was founded in 2008 by 6 women veteran journalists who wanted to fill the void of in-depth reporting in the Philippines. We began our fact-checking initiative in 2016 during the presidential elections and became the first signatory from the Philippines to the IFCN's Code of Principles in 2017. The following year, we became a third-party fact-checking partner of Facebook. Today, I'll be talking about Promise Walang Lokohan, or in English, Promise No Fooling Around, a 6-episode fact-checking tutorial series that our team worked on with support from the IFCN Fact-Checking Development Grant in 2020. So our belief is that everybody can and should be a fact-checker. And so apart from producing fact checks on a daily basis, we're also very much engaged in empowering the public with the skills and the know-how to verify information that they come across themselves. So we launched a do-it-yourself fact-checking guide in 2018, and we run fact-check training courses that can last for half a day to 5 weeks, depending on the requesting organization. But then came the COVID-19 lockdowns, and which has made us hit pause on the face-to-face fact-check trainings for the time being. As many of you might have also experienced, to say that conducting remote trainings is challenging would be an understatement. And because of this, we thought, why don't we create a fact-checking tutorial series that can help us facilitate our virtual workshops? And thus, Promise Walang Lokohan or Promise No Fooling Around was born. So Promise Walang Lokohan is a colloquial expression in which one swears to be honest and truthful. The script used everyday language of Filipinos to draw the attention of as many viewers as possible, and to keep it simple and easy to understand. All the videos were shot in Filipino, but it also carried subtitles in English and two other major local languages, Cebuano and Ilocano, spoken by at least 9 million people in the country. We had 6 episodes total, each running between 3 and 5 minutes, and were designed as individually separate modules. Our concept was to produce a series of video fact-check tutorials for easy, enjoyable, experiential, and engaging learning. As we believe that the truth is the best antidote to falsehoods, the video tutorials featured step-by-step guides to distinguish facts from fakes, as well as tips and techniques in fact-checking. So viewers were walked through by two hosts, myself, and one of our fact-check reporters, Marinette. The series has so far gotten over 136,000 impressions and nearly 9,000 engagements on Facebook and YouTube since we released the series in October of 2020. We've also gotten quite a number of good feedback from workshop participants and social media users who found that having a video that they could view on demand was helpful, so they could go back to the material time and again to review it. We've also learned that some teachers have already integrated Promise Walang Lokohan into their teaching curriculum, and that the series has also been introduced to indigenous communities to address problems with mis and disinformation. To give you a preview of the series, here was our teaser video.
Sa pagputok ng bawat balita, kasabay ang pagsulpot ng mali at mapanlinlang na impormasyon.
Mula sa pagkamatay ni Kobe Bryant at ng kanyang anak, mga sunog sa Australia, pagsabog ng Bulkang Taal, shutdown ng ABS-CBN, at lalo itong COVID-19 pandemic, hindi na uubusan ng materyal ang mga factory ng mis at disinformation sa social media.
Ako si Celine, editor ng VERA Files.
At ako naman si Marinette, reporter ng VERA Files.
Mula ngayong Oktubre hanggang Pebrero, tuturuan namin kayo kung paano magsuri ng online content sa pamamagitan ng 6 na video.
Mapagkakatiwalaan ba ang website o Facebook page na nasa harap mo? Baka naman luma ang litrato na isi-share mo. Paano ba maiiwasan na ma-hack at matrack ang iyong social media accounts?
Abangan ang unang tutorial ngayong October 15. Lahat yan, ituturo namin. Promise! Walang lokohan!
Huwag kalimutang mag-like at subscribe!
So the series zoomed in on each of these 6 topics, which are actually the building blocks of our fact-check trainings. So spotting red flags in social media accounts, assessing if a statement can be fact-checked or not, spotting red flags in websites, using Google Advanced Search for more convenient researching, utilizing the reverse image search tool, and keeping one's data safe and secure while they do their fact-checking research online. Each episode begins with an anecdote, such as a popular example of related disinformation or trends that VERA Files has seen about it. And then we explain the concept and then dive into the technique and tips. So because of the community lockdowns, VERA Files had to do the shoot in a makeshift studio in our office. And to stick to physical distancing protocol, we worked with a skeletal production staff. Instead of shooting one episode at a time, all the intro and outro spiels for the 6 episodes were recorded in one day to minimize the activities outside the home. The voiceovers for the 2nd to the 6th episodes were recorded by Marinette and I in our own homes, while a group worked on the animation. The initial production, such as the teaser and the first episode, took about a month. And in the subsequent episodes, we allotted about 1 to 2 weeks for the script and 2 weeks for the illustrations and video editing. We published one video a month from October 2020 to March 2021 on YouTube and Facebook, and republished the series on Facebook on International Fact-Checking Day this year. The tutorial kits were also distributed free of charge to the community newspaper partners of VERA Files. So Promise Walang Lokohan's primary target audience were undergraduate students, mostly of communication and education courses, teachers, community journalists, and civil society organizations. And we've succeeded in reaching them by featuring the series in over 30 fact-checking workshops and webinars this year alone. We'd say the biggest challenge we've had with Promise Walang Lokohan was promoting it to a wider audience on social media. So the VERA Files team is currently taking steps to improve its audience engagement strategy, but we're happy to report that Promise Walang Lokohan has actually fared quite well on our social media channels. So we reactivated our YouTube channel for this project, and the tutorial series are the top performing videos on there at the moment. So we currently have over 1,300 followers or subscribers. And the most viewed episode was the one about the red flags in websites. In terms of impressions, we have nearly 27,000 and over 4,000 views. Meanwhile, on Facebook, the top performing video there were the red flags on social media and the episode on digital security. Collectively, the 6 episodes on Facebook have gotten about 400% more impressions than on YouTube. But of course, aside from these metrics, the greater goal for us was to be able to make fact-checking a habit for Filipinos. There aren't a lot of tutorials in our country and in local languages that teach the public how to fact-check. And we tried to fill this gap by producing the series. And it was heartwarming to see the reactions of social media users of different ages, from the youth to the elderly to Promise Walang Lokohan. One senior citizen told us that she was encouraged to fact-check because the series made it sound doable. So that was a big win for our team, more than any social media metric. And I'd just like to end this talk with 3 takeaways from this experience. So first is to invest in capacitating your audience to fact-check. We need an all-hands-on-deck approach in fighting mis and disinformation. And by teaching our audiences how to fact-check, we empower them with the skill to critically assess information by themselves, and they feel more confident to fact-check. Which brings us to our second learning, which is to localize your content. And this is especially important when trying to reach out to underserved communities. The language we used in our tutorials was everyday Filipino language. But we took this a step further by expanding this to cover 2 more local languages. And lastly is to not be afraid to explore new formats. Our team's expertise, admittedly, is not really in video, and we haven't really dabbled in specialized animation before this. But we took this challenge upon ourselves, having taken into account that a video would be the most effective medium for our audience, being that highly visual content would allow them to absorb information better. So, teach your readers how to fact-check, listen to your audience's needs, and explore new formats. And hopefully, we'll all be able to make fact-checking a habit for everyone. So if you have any question about this project or about VERA Files' work, please feel free to drop a line at this email address or through any of our social media accounts. Thank you, and I hope everyone is having a great time at Global Fact 8. Keep safe, everyone.
Hi, my name is Vernise Tantuco. I'm a writer-researcher at Rappler, and I'm going to share with you how we built a vibrant community of fact-checkers in the Philippines. Rappler has been giving journalism workshops to student journalists all over the Philippines for years. Once we formalized our fact-checking initiative in 2017, these workshops started to include fact-checking. When the pandemic began in 2020, though, we hit a roadblock. Of course, we couldn't travel and do our usual road shows, but as you know, false information about COVID-19 continued to spread everywhere. More than ever, the public needed to learn how to protect themselves from misinformation and disinformation on social media. So we decided to take our workshops online.
Normally, what happens is Move PH goes to different areas to hold trainings and workshops. But currently, what we've been doing is to pivot online. That's why we are conducting this webinar.
In April 2020, we hosted our first fact-checking webinar over Zoom. We talked about today's online landscape and our fact-checking methodology. We played a short game with our participants where we flashed a misleading post on social media and they told us what details could be fact-checked. This has been the format of most of the 36 fact-checking webinars we've held since. We started off with 76 participants in April 2020. In total, we've reached over 6,000 individuals, with our most attended webinar reaching 900 participants. A number of them have attended more than once. Though the content of our webinars are often the same, we think they like to come back for the Q&A, which changes every time.
How do we educate people who easily listen to rumors, fake news coming from very unreliable sources?
So that is one of our frequently asked questions. We always reach out to them with compassion and kindness and respect, and to attack the claim itself and not the person who is making the claim, right? We always have a fruitful discussion with our audience who often ask about how they can correct their own family, friends, or people in their community when they share lies or misleading information. We've also held webinars to tackle special topics.
Journalism is about objectivity, pero that has evolved.
Like investigative reporting, covering developing stories, debunking historical claims, and the like. We also have a webinar series promoting media and information literacy. Majority of our attendees are from the Philippines. Some are from countries like South Korea, New Zealand, the US, Indonesia, Qatar, Malaysia, Italy, Australia, Singapore, Cambodia, Thailand, Japan, and Spain. Participants who joined the webinars share their learnings and takeaways on social media. Of course, none of this would have been possible without our partners. We've worked with 25 organizations so far, which have co-hosted these events for their respective communities. Many of the inquiries we receive about co-hosting events come from previous webinar attendees. Our partners have contributed the most to registration at our webinars, followed by email invitations and Facebook promotions. This is because our partners promote the events on their own social media pages and come up with their own promotional material. We also keep in touch with our community through email updates about our events and training. We also invite our webinar participants to join our Fact-Checking in the Philippines Facebook group, which has grown from 297 members in April 2020 to around 4,000 members today. The growth in membership has also led to an increase in engagement within the group. This is where members share unverified claims they see being circulated among their own communities. Other group members will then jump in to help fact-check these claims in the comments. This group has also become a source of claims for us to fact-check. The Facebook group has 5 social learning units based on our special sessions, which members can learn from and revisit. Webinar attendees who want more hands-on training can volunteer for our fact-checking mentorship program. We train them to understand further the nuances of producing fact checks. Our volunteers have contributed fact-check articles to us in the past 9 months and have co-hosted fact-checking events as well. Volunteers who are able to produce 2 published fact-check articles during the mentorship program receive a certificate, and they continue to contribute articles to us or lead events or campaigns to help fight disinformation. To end this show and tell presentation, we've asked some of our contributors, volunteers, and partners to share their experience with our fact-checking initiative. Here's what they had to say.
Hi, I'm Jefferson Romeo B. Felix.
I am Rosie J. Mosquera.
Hi everyone, I'm John David Omancada. I'm from Cagayan de Oro City.
I am Owen Toledo from Cabanatuan City.
I'm Arniel Ping. I'm a social studies teacher, and in the past 5 years, I've been teaching media and information literacy.
My name is Gabriel Miller. I'm from New York. I have a long-standing connection through marriage and family to the Philippines, and I've been a working journalist for nearly my entire life.
I joined my first webinar on fact-checking around April 2020 when I personally encountered a false claim about the pandemic. The claim was about bananas can help in preventing COVID-19, something like that. More or less, I've attended 5 sessions of fact-checking webinars.
I already had 5 participations in the fact-checking webinars of MovePH, and until just this recently, last July 2, when we co-hosted the same event in partnership with MovePH. My participation was ignited because of the fact that mis and disinformation here in the Philippines is already very rampant, even way before pre-pandemic.
I joined Rappler Plus, and I've been a long-standing member there. And at Rappler Plus, they offered a fact-checking webinar. I immediately went for it. Fact-checking has long been an integral part of my professional and personal life, and I was so impressed that Rappler was doing this.
Challenge po for me is that first challenge, we need more eyes on the ground. Because pag-spot po ng mis and disinformation ay hindi po siya madali because sometimes lies are also masquerading as the truth.
Knowing how to do this work and knowing how to take apart and just look at something with the idea of let's find out if this is true or false. It helps you in every aspect of life because you don't take things on face value, and even among friends and family, you don't allow falsehoods to spread. And that's critical in this world.
It's good that if they bring out that in the class, but what if that is an issue that was not brought up inside the class, then that is a problem. So I guess making fact-checking as part of the lesson, because there's really no way to monitor my students on what they do on social media, but at least I know that when they go online, they have the basic skills to at least fact-check an information or verify it.
Before kasi, pag maraming engagement, like thousands yung likes, maraming comment, trending yung post, auto-share agad. Pero ngayon, lalo na pag health-related claims, tapos paparating na yung election, imbis na i-share agad nila, dinadirect nila sa akin. So by that, pwede kong i-check or i-help them to find out sa source to debunk yung claim.
But then, eventually I've learned that you're not supposed to attack the person, but then, you attack the argument and prove that, that the claim that they're claiming to be true is wrong, is false. And so you have to substantiate with evidence to prove that, what they're claiming is false, and you're sharing with them the truth. It's a responsibility for me to really look for the truth and then share this truth with people.
The challenging part kasi, I've realized that fact-checking really took time and effort. Sabi ko nga sa isang article ko, it was like digging a tunnel using spoon when you find sources. Tapos, challenge then obtaining reliable information to debunk misinformation and disinformation.
In one of my talks, I was able to use that methodology, Rappler's methodology on how to fact-check information. And the participants who are also MIL students, they appreciated that they learn concrete steps on how they can fact-check information or how they can verify information from more credible sources.
Lahat po ng natutuhan ko sa fact-checking webinars and then sa mentorship programs, nasi-share ko din po sila. In that way, nakakabubuo po tayo ng isang community of fact-checkers and critical thinkers.
Humility as a fact-checker, that we have limitations and we cannot know everything. And I think that's the same principle that I share inside the classroom. I have to be honest with my students.
Well, under the mentorship program, as I have mentioned, the lecture that resonated well for me was the talk of Miss Vernise on IFCN's Code of Principles. because it is important for me to know that Rappler upholds ethical and professional standards in fact-checking information. I guess for MIL teachers and for all who would like to join the fight against disinformation, we have to be transparent, be committed, be fair.
We can all be guardians of truth and knowledge in our own way. And also, in that way, by dispelling these lies that are circulating online and offline in our communities, we can help this country even progress more, because these lies that are masquerading as the truth are also one of the factors that affects our democracy, that affects our decision makings, and that affects also our perceptions in what is happening in our communities.
Beyond helping with our fact-checking initiative, the community promotes a culture that values journalism and truth-telling. The result is a multi-sector movement against online disinformation. We're hoping that this initiative will help us fuel the fight against lies and propaganda ahead of the 2022 elections. Thank you.
Hello friends, hope you are doing fine. I really wish that we could be sitting together in a conference room doing this face-to-face, but since that's not possible, please allow me to share my screen. My name is Krishna. I lead the fact-checking team of India Today group. As some of you may already know, India Today is among the biggest media houses in India. We have been doing fact-checking for last 3 years, and now we are producing more than 160 stories per month in 4 different languages and in all the possible formats that you can see on your screens. What is this presentation about? So this presentation is about that how the people who are in the business of pushing fake agenda, misleading content on social media platforms, how they are changing gear. As we know that as fact-checking becomes more robust, more widely well-known, and the scope and the depth of fact-checking across the world has increased manifold. So now these people know that now it's not going to be so easy for them to push a misleading content and get away with this. And the algorithms of the social media platforms have also become stronger. So now these people have devised new tricks, and I have called them Catch Me If You Can, because we are going to talk about 8 secret tricks that these fake factories are using to escape fact checking. These are basically our findings of our observation based on the Facebook's 3PFC program. But I have called them secret tricks, but they are not entirely secret. You may have already come across them. Some of you may have already noticed it. But this is my attempt to underline those issues, underline those tricks that these people are using, so that together we can decide, together we can see that what is the best way to tackle this, and so that the social media platforms could also take a note of this and devise a strategy how to tackle it. So the first is called use a phrase and then abuse it. In Hindi, Shanti Doot is a very harmless kind of word. It means peaceful. But in India, almost everybody by this time knows that Shanti Doot is a word, it has become a phrase that is now being widely used to target Muslims in a derogatory way. Similarly, Bhakt is a word which means disciple. But on social media, it is almost everybody knows that Bhakt is a word that is being used to target right-wing supporters. So there are several different phrases that are widely being used. First, they start using it on Facebook groups, and many people start using it. And gradually, those words become kind of phrases, and then they start abusing and then start playing around with those phrases. So what can we do about this? First thing is that the algorithms of the social media platforms need to be dynamic. The social media platforms, the engineers need to be in touch with the fact checkers in different countries, so that they know that these are the words being currently used, and so that they could tweak those words and they could keep on changing the words which should trigger a red flag. The second trick is give them a nickname. So this is kind of extension of the first one, phrases. So nickname is different in a way that these nicknames tend to be permanent, while phrases keep on changing. The nicknames are almost permanent and they are quite sticky. they become so widely well known that at one point of time, if you type some word which you can see on a screen, if you type this word on Google, so Google will also throw a result and show you a picture of a political leader in India. So these nicknames tend to be sticky, and once they are well known, everybody starts using them, so these words are then widely used by people who are pushing fake agenda with narrative stories on social media platforms. So what we need to do, first thing is that we need to keep in mind these keywords. We need to be aware about these keywords, these nicknames, so that while we are scanning for content, then we also use these keywords, not only just their names, but these keywords, these nicknames, so that we do not miss something which could be going viral. The third is forbidden text, click and share. As all of us know that now the photo matching has become quite robust in different social media platforms. They are using it, and also there are filters to take away the forbidden words. So now people are using a gap which is still there. What they do is they have to share a text or a URL of a website, so they won't write it. What they do is that they write it somewhere on a piece of paper or on a wall that you can see here, and then take a photo and then share it as a photo. So this is a trick that they use, and by the time you realize this, by the time you come across this becomes quite viral. So what can we do about this? First thing is that the social media platforms need to use this optical character recognition, OCR. The technology is already there, so they need to use this more strongly with more effect, so that these texts which are being shared in the form of photo, they're detected. And we also need to look for this picture while we're looking at a post. We also need to see that if they are using, they have clicked a picture of something and of some text that they want to convey, and then they're sharing this. The fourth is no claim is a good claim. This is slightly tricky and this is slightly complex, and we often come across this. Maybe that you also face the same dilemma in your own countries. So this is what they do is, now they have started writing something very vaguely, which is not very precise, which is not something you can say that this is wrong in black and white. They would just use an unrelated photo. They would just use some emojis and then pick up a trending topic and then mix all this together. And they won't write something which is very direct so that you can pick this up, because they know that if they write something very direct, this would immediately be noticed by a fact checker. So what they do is that they write something vaguely around it. Let me show you this with an example. So some time back, there was a population law being discussed in India, and there was a raging debate about the on social media about this population control law. So somebody would just take this picture from a different country of a Rohingya camp. As you can see, a Muslim man sitting there with his 7 children. So he would just use this picture, and the message, please read carefully the message on the screen. It just says, pay your taxes on time for them. So he has neither used the term population control. He has not used the word Muslims. He had just obliquely referred to this. And what he means is that in India, Muslims are responsible for the population explosion. So he is targeting Muslims, but this is written in such a clever manner that you really get confused what to do with this kind of claims. And this has become quite common. I think what we can do is that we need to look beyond what is written in the claim, as we call them. And we also need to check how people are reacting to it, how people are perceiving that message. We need to check beyond the claims and go down into the comment section and see that if many people are falling for it, then probably this is something that we should take up and do fact check. The fifth is called hashtag. Let the hashtag speak for you. This is again something that you may have come across. So now what they have started doing is they won't write something. They'll just pick up some random image, some image which can go viral, something which is misleading, some interesting picture, and just put the hashtag of something which is trending. So they would pick up an unrelated picture, a misleading picture, won't write anything because that may come under the radar of some fact checker, and they would just use a viral hashtag. here is an example. So some time back, there was a video which was being widely shared on social media. It showed very dramatically, I have not used the video here. It showed very dramatically that somebody suddenly disappears into a manhole during the Mumbai rains. So that was a CGI, and that was quite, it looked quite convincing. So people were really panicky about it, that this is happening in Mumbai. But the message won't say this. The message would just say that he will use that video there. The message would just say, oh my God, be very careful, and put that hashtag Mumbai rains. So he's not writing anything, he's just using Mumbai rains. So somebody would perceive that this must have happened in Mumbai. So this has become quite common. They do not write anything, they just put the hashtag there. So what we can do is, I think that now it's time that we should start treating hashtags, misleading hashtags, as also the claims. And we have already started doing this. And the Facebook should also take notice of this, that how this can be integrated into the fact checking, because misleading hashtags are as bad as misleading claims, and the misleading claims are now changing shape. Sixth is the misspell your word out of the filters. This is again something not very innovative, but this is very effective. What all they need to do is that they know that if they use abusive words, they use certain terms, those could trigger some flags. Fact checkers could be looking for those terms, they could be searching for those terms. So what they do is, now they will just misspell the word deliberately. You can see, I do not want to read them out. You can see the kind of misspelling they use for Muslims. These are some of them. There are many others. Similarly, they want to write something about vaccines, they would just misspell it. They would want to write something about corona, and which is misleading. They just want to share it. So by the time somebody, you keep on searching for corona or Muslims by using the correct spelling, and you will never get it. By the time you get it, it's already quite viral, because they deliberately misspell it. So what we can do is junk the spell checker while searching for these contents. You should also think of all the possible manner in which a term can be misspelled, and then look for them. And the platforms also need to keep this in mind, that these are the terms these are the misspelling that are being widely used, and people are deliberately misspelling those terms. So what are those terms that needs to be flagged, or probably that needs to be pushed out to the fact checkers so that we can check them. Seventh is something not very innovative, but this is again very cheap and very effective and very quick, because now all of us know that image matching is something that Facebook is doing quite frequently, that if you check an image and Facebook comes across the similar image, misleading similar image somewhere else, so it will get a strike down automatically. The algorithm takes over and it strikes it down. So now what they do is, they know that image matching is at work. So what they will do is just take some old image which is misleading, or which could go viral. So they will tweak it slightly. They will just flip it around. Mirror image is difficult to catch, and so they will change the color, texture, crop it. They will make a color photo black and white, or vice versa, and then they would share it, so it becomes difficult for us to find them out. And then it becomes, and at times it escapes the image matching thing. So what we can do is try to look for the tweaked image. Now, this is also something, the eighth trick is that less effort, this is the last one, less effort, more effect. What they do is, and this is again very common in India at least, we can see that now, while we are looking for something, we definitely want to look at the source of some original source of the video or the picture from where it has originated. So what they have started doing is that they have stopped picking up images or pictures from Facebook or from Twitter, or YouTube, which are most commonly used platforms in India. So they would pick up something from TikTok, which is now banned in India. They would pick up something from Snapchat, which is used but not very common in India. So they would pick up content, misleading content, or something from a different platform, which is not very widely used in India or some country, and then they would just import that to Facebook or Twitter or to YouTube, and then put something misleading. So it becomes difficult for us because if we're trying to look for some original content, we definitely should look into these other platforms which are not very common, and we should look beyond the popular apps. We should also look within the inverted image in these pictures and videos so that we can know that these pictures have been tweaked or made into mirror images. That's all. I'm sure that some of these tricks you might have also come across in your own countries. So this is something that we have seen in India. If you have any questions, I would be very happy to answer them. My Twitter and my email are there right on the screen. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much.